today we're talking about 4 trans books that I want to read. So, quick disclaimer, I myself am not trans, but I am queer, and like I've said in previous videos, I think it's very important to read books outside of your frame of reference and to read books about characters that may not be like you, so you can understand how that person walks through life. And I think that's kind of important and in creating empathy for that person, because you truly can't empathize with somebody unless you know what they're going through. I think you can't empathize if you don't know what they're dealing with. So, on to the list. Book number 1, If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. Amanda Hardy is the new girl in school, and like anyone else, all she wants is to make friends and fit in. But Amanda is keeping a secret, and she's determined not to get close to anyone. But when she meets sweet, easygoing Grant, Amanda can't help but start to let him into her life. As they spend more time together, she realizes just how much she's losing by guarding her heart. She finds herself yearning to share with Grant everything about herself, including her past. But Amanda's terrified that when she tells him the truth, he won't be able to see past it, because the secret that Amanda's been keeping, it's that at old school, she used to be Andrew. Will the truth cost Amanda her new life and her new love? I like this because it's a romance and it's a trans woman romance, and I think that's really cool. Plus, the guy that she's with, I don't think, unless it's like some secret plot twist that he's also trans, I don't think he's trans either. I think he's cis. I don't know how the book goes. I haven't read it yet. That's why it's on this list. It's a trans book that I want to read. So, on to the next one. Number 2, Little Fish by Casey Plett. Wendy Reimer is a 30-year-old trans woman who comes across evidence that her late grandfather, a devout Mennonite farmer, might have been transgender himself. At first, she dismisses this revelation, having other problems at hand, but as she and her friends struggle to cope with the challenges of their increasingly volatile lives, from alcoholism to sex work to suicide, Wendy is drawn to the lost pieces of her grandfather's life, becoming determined to unravel the mystery of his truth. I like that it's a mystery and that the main character is trans, that maybe her transness is a big part of the story, but it's not the only part of the story. It's also learning about her grandfather and learning that he may or may not have been trans, and dealing with things in her life, from her friends and herself struggling with like addiction and sex work and depression and suicide. And I think that that's like a great mix. But on to the next one. Number 3, Peter Darling by Peter Chant. 10 years ago, Peter Pan left Neverland to grow up, leaving behind his adolescent dreams of boyhood and resigning himself to living life as Wendy Darling. Growing up, however, has only made him realize how inescapable his identity as a man is. But when he returns to Neverland, everything has changed. The Lost Boys have become men, and the war games they once played are now real and deadly. Even more shocking is the attraction Peter never knew he could feel for his old rival, Captain Hook, and the realization that he no longer knows which of them is the real villain. I love everything about this. I love retellings, and there aren't a lot of Peter Pan retellings. There's like a lot of like Cinderella and the princesses, but not so much as like other Disney type characters, like Peter Pan. And I like that one that Peter Pan is trans, because I think that's awesome. But also, he has trouble with his identity. Of course he does, because when he returns to Neverland, he returns as a new person, but also he returns and everything else has changed. Life doesn't stop when you leave somewhere, and I like that. I also like, that there's maybe some romance with Captain Hook, and ooh, forbidden romance. I love me some forbidden romance. And Captain Hook and Peter Pan falling in love is just, yes. Anyway, to the next book. Small Beauty by Jia Qing Wilson Yang. Small Beauty tells the story of May, who's coping with the death of her cousin, abandons life in the city to live in a now empty house in a small town. There she connects with his history as well as her own, learning about her aunt's long-term secret relationship, and reflects on the trans women she left behind. She also brushes up against some local trans mysteries and gets advice from departed loved ones with a lot to say. So I like that the character is trans, but also that they're not white. I think most of the ones on this list are of white trans women, and this trans woman is Asian, and I like that. You don't get to hear about a lot of trans women of color, and I think that that's really cool. Like, even in the media, there aren't that many trans women of color. I actually can only think of about one, and that's Laverne Cox. So it's very cool. So that was all the books on my 4 trans books that I want to read list. And I can't wait to read these stories. So, like, subscribe, comment down below, click that bell icon to get notified every time I upload. And I will see you in the next one.